In 2017, it was chosen by NASDAQ to replace their legacy stock tracker tools on the NASDAQ.com website. When we look at the number of tracked portfolios since we launched the Smart Portfolio, so by the end of 2016, we had about 7,500 portfolios. In 2017, we had 37,000 tracked portfolios. And since then, the number of portfolios more or less doubled year over year until we reached almost 540,000 tracked portfolios by the end of 2021. And over these years, we accumulated a lot of feedback from you, our users, and incorporated all of this feedback into the new version, SmartPortfolio 2.0. So looking at the enhancements that were introduced in SmartPortfolio 2.0, we basically introduced fractional shares, the ability to add and track fractional shares, to add transactions where you can specify the exact date and purchase price of for your transactions and holdings. We incorporated the popular TipRanks Smart Score into the Smart Portfolio and enabled you to see pre-market and after-hour prices for your holdings. Smart Portfolio 2.0 also offers enhanced customization capabilities and support for additional markets. Smart Portfolio 2.0 currently supports equities from the US, Canada, and the UK, and we will be soon adding many additional markets to that. We also built a Smart Portfolio 2.0 to support cryptocurrency. So if you have cryptocurrency, you can add it and see both your equities, ETFs, mutual funds, and cryptocurrency in the same place. Smart Portfolio allows you to add nodes to your portfolio. It has an updated user experience, which we will look at shortly, and was also built for scale. Right now, we have just over 500,000 portfolios. Smart Portfolio 2.0 was built in a way to enable us to scale to millions and tens of millions of portfolios. It also allows us to take key components of the Smart Portfolio and integrate it into additional platforms, what we call the Smart Portfolio as a service. So without further ado, let's jump right in and take a tour of the new Smart Portfolio. So when I go into the Smart Portfolio screen, the first thing I see is the My Holding tab. In the My Holding tab, I can see a detailed list of my assets, including the total holding value, the daily gain, and the cash value. Here, I can see a detailed list of assets, and for each one, I can see the price change, the analyst consensus, the analyst price target, and the upside in relation to the current price, the Smart Score, the number of shares and holding value, and the gain for my portfolio, for my assets, sorry. If you look at the bell icon, you can also see recent events pertaining to this particular equity. I can also expand the view if I want a cleaner view and wider, and basically clears everything else and shows me a bigger table. And one of the cool features of the Smart Portfolio 2.0 is the ability to customize this view. So if I click here on the hamburger menu, I can see a detailed list of columns that I can add to the Smart Portfolio view. This includes some fundamental data, the behavior of the stock, and also some columns reserved for premium users, such as the Smart Score and top analyst price target. I can also use this right-hand side to rearrange my columns and put them in a way that will be most convenient for me. If I click on Apply, I can see here the custom view based on my specification, and I can always, of course, switch back to see the basic view. The Excel button on the right-hand side allows me to download my view of the holdings into a fund. Now, one of the new capabilities, I'm hearing some echo. One of the new capabilities in SmartPortfolio 2.0 is the new stock screen. If I click here on Apple, on the right-hand side, I will get a view of Apple, including the price chart graph, which can also be switched to candlestick view for those of us who like technical analysis. And I can also see when I made acquisitions and sales of this particular holding. Here I see some key statistics that pertain to my holding of Apple, how many shares I have, what was the average purchase price, when I added it, and what's the return based on the average purchase price, and the percent of portfolio. And I can also add a note here and save it, in which case it will appear here and I can look at it later. I have some information, some fundamental information about the stock, such as the market cap, PE ratio, earning date, and dividend yield, and the 52 and daily range, and the SMART score, along with all of the components that make up the SMART score, plus some information about the company, such as description, industry, sector, CEO, number of employees, etc. Next to the Metrics tab, I have the Transactions tab. The Transactions tab is a new addition that enables me to feed in new transactions. So here I can add a transaction and say, for example, that I acquired shares of Apple on the 10th of May. I can say it was a buy or a sell transaction, enter the number of shares, including fractional shares, and the exact purchase price in which it was acquired. Once I click on the green arrow here, you will see this transaction added here on the price graph. Now, you'll notice that there are two tabs here, the transactions reported by me and recorded by TipRanks. Transactions reported by me are the transactions with the data that I provide, including the purchase date and the purchase price. The transactions recorded by TipRanks is essentially measures your transactions from the time in which they were added to TipRanks. In this case, we look at the current date and use the end of day price of the current date in order to measure your recorded by TipRanks performance. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the Performance tab, but essentially, the recorded by TipRanks transactions enable us to objectively benchmark your performance to other users on the platform, essentially to compare apples to apples. So this was a brief overview of the Holdings tab. And from here, let's switch right over to the Stock Analysis tab. The Stock Analysis tab enables you to get a detailed view of your portfolio. Basically, what you can see here is the percent of allocated to stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, and cash. You can see your top holdings and your geo allocation. Here you can see that 85% of my assets are in the US, whereas about 8% are in the UK and 6.6% in Canada. You can also see here a breakdown based on sector and the top stocks in each sector, based on market cap, dividend yield, beta, and PE ratio. Scrolling down, you get a more detailed view into your portfolio volatility or beta, your PE ratio, and the dividends. For the beta, you can see here basically the stocks that have the highest beta, and also how my portfolio beta compares to the average TipRanks portfolio. You can see here that my beta is lower than the average TipRanks portfolio. For the PE ratio, you can see the stocks with the highest PE ratio, and also how my portfolio PE ratio compares to the average TipRanks portfolio. Here you can see that my portfolio has a higher PE ratio than the average TipRanks portfolio. In the dividends tab, you can see the stocks that have the highest dividend yield along with the upcoming dividends in your portfolio. And if there are particular warnings in relation to your stocks, you will be able to see them here. This gives you a comprehensive overview of your portfolio by different categories. We will now move on to the Performance tab. The Performance tab shows you your performance over time. You can see here your monthly performance and how it relates to the TipRanks average portfolio and to the S&P 500. You can also see your success rate, your average return, and how you are ranked overall in relation to over 500,000 investors on the platform. This is the activity recorded by TipRanks. So it's an objective performance measurement where basically all your transactions are measured on the date that you enter them to the platform. And once again, this enables us to perform an objective performance evaluation of your portfolio performance in relation to other investors on the platform. You can also see your return for different time periods and your most profitable trade, along with your recent activity here on the right-hand side. This is the activity recorded by TipRanks. I can also switch to a view that shows me the activity based on the transaction dates and execution prices that I entered into the transaction tab that we saw before. One of the cool features here is also to see a graph view of my portfolio performance and how it relates or equates or compares to the S&P 500. Another interesting thing that you'll see here is the question, who can see my portfolio? Right now, my portfolio is private, so I'm the only one who can see my portfolio. We'll soon see how to change this and share your portfolio performance with the world. But before we do that, let's move on to the Crowd Insights tab. The Crowd Insights tab is one of the unique features of the TipRanks Smart Portfolio. It enables you to compare your portfolio to the TipRanks average portfolio. The TipRanks average portfolio is a portfolio that constitutes 25 stocks that are most frequently held by TipRanks investors. Here you can compare your sector allocation to the average TipRanks portfolio and also other attributes such as asset allocation and market cap. Scrolling down, you can get a more detailed view of your dividend yield, which stocks have the highest dividend yield in your portfolio in relation to the average TipRanks portfolio, along with comparing the overall yield of the portfolio to the yield of the average TipRanks portfolio. And you can do the same for the beta and the PE ratio. So this shows me the stocks with the highest PE ratio in relation to the stocks with the highest PE ratio on the TipRanks average portfolio. On the right-hand side, you can see the stocks that have been recently added and removed from the TipRanks average portfolio. So you can see that the TipRanks average portfolio recently added Plug Power, Google, DraftKings, Netflix, and SoFi Technologies, whereas Warner Bros., Golden Nugget, AbbVie, and Salesforce and Intel were recently removed. Scrolling down, you can see all of the stocks in the TipRanks average portfolio, and you can compare them to your stocks also based on the different sectors. So if I click on the technology sector, I can see that these stocks are these technology stocks I have in my portfolio, and these are the technology stocks that we have in the average TipRanks portfolio. Premium users can also choose to compare their portfolio to the top performing TipRanks portfolios. The top performing TipRanks portfolio is essentially a portfolio that is once again constituted of 25 stocks, which are based on the holdings of investors that are ranked 4 stars or higher. So they're ranked in the top 20% amongst the TipRanks users. If I click on the top performing TipRanks portfolio, I can see that different stocks have been recently added. You can see that Coinbase and ChargePoint Holdings and AbbVie were recently added to the top performing TipRanks portfolio. And here, once again, I can compare my portfolio to the portfolio held by the top performing investors on the platform. Moving on to my news, basically, this is a view that lets you see the latest news on the stocks in your portfolio. Here, you can easily filter based on a particular stock to see news relating only to that particular ticker. And one of the unique capabilities enables you to quickly look at only the bullish news or only the bearish news pertaining to stocks in your portfolio. The My Calendar tab allows you to see a calendar of recent events pertaining to your stocks. You can see, for example, that in June, I have the following events, 2 ex-dividend dates, and in July, there is an ex-dividend date for Bank of Montreal, along with some expected earning releases. So this gives me a view that shows me what I can expect in the upcoming weeks and months. So when we looked at my performance, we saw that the portfolio is only visible to myself. In the Public Portfolio tab, what I can do is essentially take my portfolio and share it with the rest of the world. All I need to do is enter my name, choose which portfolio I'd like to publish, in this case, saving, and I can add a note here. For example, this is my long-term portfolio. I agree to the TipRanks terms of use, and I can click on Go Public. Once I click on Go Public, basically, TipRanks generates a URL. In this case, tipranks.com, experts, investors, and then my portfolio ID and my name. And this portfolio is now available to the world. I can see here my investment, my performance based on the recorded by TipRanks, so my objective performance, along with the performance over time, the same information about the gain and the best trade, my recent activity, and some details about my current holdings. Now, one of the things that is not available here is the size of my portfolio. So when you share your portfolio with the world, basically the amount of money that you manage remains hidden. You only see the percentages of the portfolio. So you can see what percent is allocated to which holding, but you cannot see the actual value of the portfolio. Once I share my portfolio, I can take and easily share this URL with other people, and they can access this page and see the performance and the portfolio as measured by TipRanks. If I change my mind, I can easily change this to only me, and my portfolio will no longer be accessible to the world. So it's a fully reversible thing. So one of the additional interesting, we went over the major capabilities and tabs of the Smart Portfolio. The Overview tab essentially provides all these details at a glance. I can see here my holding value, daily return, 30-day and total return. I can see the top gainers and top losers. I can get a quick market overview on the right-hand side. I can see my historical performance on a month-by-month basis. And here I have a small snippet that shows me the news for my portfolio and the upcoming events. So if you don't have much time and just want to get a quick view of the portfolio, you can do it here in the Overview tab. Another capability which is unique to TipRanks is the ability to manage multiple portfolios, but also to see all of your portfolios in one consolidated view. So if I click here on all portfolios, basically I can see a full list of holdings that is aggregated from all of the portfolios that I have on the platform. I can see the list of holdings, and I can also see an analysis of basically my unified portfolio, which is, in my case, a combination of 1, 2, 3, 4 portfolios. So this is the all portfolio view, and it's very useful if you're using if you're managing more than one portfolio. Now, when you, let me switch back to my regular portfolio. If you'd like to add additional shares to your portfolio, you can easily do it via the search bar here or via the add stocks at the top right-hand side. And you can also add additional portfolios. When you add additional portfolios, you have two options. One option is to add stocks manually, and the other option is to connect your existing portfolio. Here we use this third-party service, which enables you to look for your broker and automatically link it to your smart portfolio. Once you do that, your portfolio is automatically synced with your brokerage account. Here, for example, I have a small experimental portfolio on Fidelity. And so this is a linked account. You can see it has a blue bar over here. And you're able to, basically it syncs every few hours, and you can also sync it manually by clicking on this button. And this portfolio, you're not able to edit because it's automatically linked to your account. So this was an overview of the different capabilities of the Smart Portfolio. You can always, you have a take a tour button here, so you can always see a shorter video that highlights the key features of the Smart Portfolio. And now I will switch back to the presentation. And before we go on to open the floor for questions, one of the things that will be coming up in the next few months, so as we were building the Smart Portfolio, we decided to have a internal competition within TipRanks. We call it the TipRanks Fantasy League, where essentially everyone in the company opened a portfolio, and we had a competition for 3 months, where basically all of the TipRanks employees were ranked within a closed universe of people on the Smart Portfolio. And this had such traction and was so exciting that we decided to open this capability to the world and enable you to create leagues where you can have investment competitions with your friends, classmates, or any forum of or community of your choosing. So this is something that will be available later in Q3. And we'll finish with some interesting statistics about the Smart Portfolio. We currently have over 500,000 users using the Smart Portfolio. And on the right-hand side, you can see the stocks that have been most frequently bought by users using the Smart Portfolio. So thanks, everyone. I hope this has been a useful tour of the Smart Portfolio. I will now open the floor for some questions. And I will also like to let you know that as you bore through the entire Smart Portfolio webinar, we will be sharing, we're happy to share with you a 20% discount coupon if you'd like to upgrade to any of our premium plans within the next 24 hours. So the premium, so the upgrade, the discount coupon will be available in the chat. So please feel free to copy it from the chat and use this discount if you'd like to upgrade to any of our premium plans. Okay, I will now answer some of the questions. Tony asks, in the transaction history view, is there a way to select multiple positions to delete? So you cannot delete multiple positions at once. In order to delete stocks, you can do one of 3 things. One way to delete stocks, so here I cannot delete stocks because it's my linked account. But if I go into a regular portfolio, I have a few options to delete a stock. One option is to click here on the delete button, and this will enable me to delete the stock. I can also set the number of shares to 0. And once I do that, I can choose to either delete, in this case, Gilead Sciences completely from my portfolio, or keep it with 0 shares. Or I can click on the trash bin icon here in the detailed stock tab. So there are several ways to delete a stock, but you can only delete one stock at a time and not several stocks together. We have a question here about segregating long and short positions. So right now, the Smart Portfolio supports long positions only. We do plan to add support for short positions later this year. We received a request under the stock screening function. Please add the ability to rank order stocks by PE ratio. So this is something that is already available today. If I switch to the custom view, I can choose PE ratio. In this case, I see it's already selected. And if I click on the PE ratio, it basically sorts my holding based on the PE ratio from top to bottom or from bottom to the top. Thomas asks, hi, is there a way to see upcoming economic events in my calendar? So currently the calendar only shows events pertaining to your specific holdings. However, it's definitely an interesting feature that we will consider with our product department. And I hope we'll be able to add this as well, as we are adding an economic calendar to the platform in general. So we don't have this capability right now, but it's definitely something that we will consider adding. Greg asks, I would like to see the SMART score as it changed on the price chart of the stock. This is, I agree, it's an interesting feature. It's not something that we currently offer, but it's definitely something that we can consider. Glenn asks, can I get my portfolio value in Canadian currency? So right now, when you add a Canadian equity, you will see the price and holding value in Canadian dollars. If you have only Canadian holdings, basically you will see your total holding value in Canadian dollars. However, if you have at least one equity in US dollars, then we translate everything to US dollars and we will show it up here in US dollars. We are planning to allow you to basically switch the currency so you can see the total holding aggregation, your cash value, and your daily return in any currency of your choosing. This will be available later this year. I see there is another question about deleting multiple position in the stock transactions. So here, no, basically you can delete them one by one. However, the deletion is quite quick, so you just delete them one after another. And this is the quick way to delete your transaction. However, it's one by one and not multiple transactions as one, and not multiple transactions at once. We have a question here. Is the new Smart Portfolio available on the TipRanks mobile app? So the question is yes, of course. It's supported both by our native iOS and Android app. So if you have a Smart Portfolio, you can see the exact same thing in your mobile apps. And one of the things that we haven't done yet, but are planning to do later in Q3, is when you customize your view on the web, Smart Portfolio web, to see the exact same view in the Smart Portfolio mobile apps. Right now, you can customize each of them separately, and we are planning to consolidate so you can see a single view or single customization for both platforms. Eric asks, what is the timing for adding other international markets? And do you just ignore those positions on a sync today? So we are planning to add at least 4 additional markets later this year. These include Germany, Australia, and a few additional European markets, and potentially Israel. And right now, that is correct. If you're syncing an account from a brokerage account that has equities in a country that is not in a market that is not currently supported by the Smart Portfolio, the Smart Portfolio will just ignore these holdings, and you will see only holdings of the markets that are currently supported by the Smart Portfolio. So we have a question here about the cost. So the Smart Portfolio has many capabilities which you can get for free, and some of the capabilities like Smart Score and other columns, like the ability to add multiple portfolios and the ability to compare your portfolio to best performing portfolios on the platform. These are reserved for premium features, for premium users, sorry. We have a question here. Can we consider the analysis as financial advice? The answer here is no. We do not consider this as financial advice. Basically, what you see here is an overview of your portfolio, and you can slice and dice it in different manners. We are not suggesting which stocks you should add or remove. What you could do here is see basically just the different stocks and different categories like market cap, dividend, beta, PE ratio, geolocation, etc. But it's definitely not an investment advice in any way. So Tim asks, did I understand correctly that you can now add crypto, and how would I add Shiba Inu, for example? So right now you cannot add cryptocurrency yet. However, you will be able to add cryptocurrency in Q3, which is just around the corner. And the way that you will do this is simply by using the add stocks and searching for cryptocurrency in the search bar. You will have cryptocurrency, you'll be able to add it, and it will be incorporated into your portfolio, into your holdings, your daily return, your portfolio analysis, your portfolio performance, and all other relevant tabs on the platform. So we have a question here of what is the difference between the free Smart Portfolio and the one that you need to pay for? So one major difference is some of the columns here, some of the data points here are reserved for premium members. The ability to add and manage multiple portfolios is reserved for premium members. If you link your account to your brokerage account, like in this example, if you're a premium member, your portfolio will stay linked to your brokerage account. However, if you're a free subscriber, you will have to re-authenticate every month. We will still retain your performance over time, but you will have to re-authenticate every month. And in the Crowd Insights, you need to be a premium member in order to be able to see the holdings of the top performing TipRanks portfolio. We have a question here. Have you fixed the weekly email that summarizes my weekly portfolio performance? So the answer is yes, and you can expect to start receiving it again later in June. And I apologize for the inconvenience. We had some issues with the weekly digest as we were migrating to the Smart Portfolio 2.0. So we have a question about charting. Saving charting characteristics like 50-day moving average, 3-month moving average, and when I move to another stock, these characteristics in the chart pop up. So right now, we don't have many charting capabilities within the Smart Portfolio. We are planning to add charting capabilities to our stock charts in the stock pages. And once we've added them to the stock pages, the next step will be to add them into the stock view of the Smart Portfolio. When will Canadian ETFs be added to portfolios? So we have the ability to add some Canadian ETFs, and we will be expanding our coverage over the next few months. One of the goals of the new Smart Portfolio was to enable us to provide much better global support. So I expect full coverage. We already have partial coverage of Canadian ETFs, and I expect full coverage later in Q3. We have a question about options. Right now, we do not support options in TipRanks in general. It is something that we're considering, but right now it's not supported in general on the platform nor on the Smart Portfolio. Okay, I think this is a good time to wrap up. So thank you everyone for joining the webinar and for asking these wonderful questions. I will say that we are very much interested to get any feedback that you have when using the Smart Portfolio. And you can email us at smartportfolio@tipranks.com with any suggestions for improvements or any questions that you have or any issues that you come across. Please email us. We are very responsive on this email. We love getting your feedback. Many of the things integrated into the Smart Portfolio 2.0 were based on the feedbacks that you've provided. So please send us any suggestions, feedback, or questions, and we will be very happy to answer. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.